Hello. So, 8 million in the house. Good afternoon. Sa kapitbahay, good afternoon. Sa barangay, good afternoon. Sa 9 million in the house, thank you so much. Sa inyong lahat, papanuorin na naman natin si Quimbobot, ang laki ng budget niya. Trilyon ang budget niya. Trilyon. Samantala kay BP Sara, 125 million. Hanggang ngayon, pinag-uusapan pa. Grabe naman. Nagkakakilabot. Tara na, panuorin natin. 14 million in the house. Ayan na sila.
I move to consider House Bill number 10800 as contained in the committee report number 1208, submitted by the Committee on Appropriation, and for this purpose direct the Secretary General to read the title of the measure.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the measure.
House Bill 10800, an act appropriating funds for the operation of the government of the Republic of the Philippines from January 1 to December 31, 2025.
Majority.
Hindi na nakikita ni Lolo. Matanda na.
Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to open the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The period of sponsorship and debate is now open. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to recognize Representative Elizalde Esco, Chairperson of the Committee on Appropriations, to deliver his sponsorship speech on House Bill number 10800.
The Honorable Elizalde Esco, Chairperson of the Committee on Appropriations, is recognized to begin the sponsorship of House Bill number 10800.
Honorable Speaker, distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we as representatives of the people gather as a collective body to exercise the
Nagkahawak ng budget ng Pilipinas.
power of the purse, a sacred duty entrusted to us by the Constitution. This power shapes national policy and directs the nation's trajectory. Today, it is with great responsibility and honor that I stand before you to sponsor the House Bill number 10800, or the 2025 General Appropriations Bill. The fulfillment of one of Congress' most vital responsibilities. This measure proposes 4.405 trillion pesos in new appropriations, consisting of 4.247 trillion pesos in program new appropriations and 158.67 billion pesos in unprogrammed appropriations. On July 29, 2024, through the Department of Budget and Management, the President submitted within the prescribed time the proposed 2025 budget. Soon after the submission, your Committee on Appropriations immediately got to work and conducted budget briefings and hearings from August 5 to September 10, 2024. We spent long hours to flesh out the projects, activities, and programs of the entire Philippine government. Today, we deliberate on that proposal as one body, ensuring that it reflects our commitment to the Filipino people. Nagbibigay ng katangi-tanging kapangyarihan sa ating saligang batas sa mababang kapulungan ng Kongreso upang pagmulan ng pagbuo ng taunang gastusin ng pamahalaan. Ang pambansang budget bilang kinatawan ng taong bayan, tungkulin natin tiyakin na ang yaman ng pamahalaan ay nakatalaga ng wasto, patas at mahusay. Tinutupad natin ang sinupang tungkulin na papaglingkuran ang sambayanan. Ang pambansang budget ang siyang plano ng pamahalaan sa mga usaping pinansyal. Ipinapakita nito kung ano-ano ang mahalaga at mga gusto nating mangyari sa kagyat at sa pangmatagalan. Walang pera ang maaaring gastusin mula sa kaban ng bayan ng labag sa batas. Kaya't
maniwala ka dyan, walang gastusin ng budget. Sinungaling.
mahalaga ang pagpasa ng General Appropriations Bill. Pinopondohan nito ang mga
Hello, Ma'am Ami Cabrera, mega love shout out. Hello, Ma'am Rosalina, mega love shout out, Ma'am Rosalina. Thank you so much, Ma'am Rosalina, and Ma'am Ami, thank you. Thank you so much.
publikong programa at proyekto. Tinitiyak ang epektibong paghahatid ng mahalagang serbisyo at itinataguyod ang pag-unlad ng pambansang ekonomiya at lipunan. The proposed total national budget for 2025 is 6.352 trillion pesos. The sum of the program new appropriations of 4.247 trillion pesos and
Judith Castro, saka ka mag-react kung tapos mo na ang palabas. Panuurin mo muna, Judith Castro, ang buong teleserye. Manood ka. Mag-like ka naman. Thank you. Ma'am Rosalina, may love chat out, Ma'am Rosalina. Thank you so much.
And the 2.105 trillion pesos in automatic appropriations constitute the appropriations cover for the budget. This year's budget theme is Agenda for Prosperity, fulfilling the needs and aspirations of the Filipino people. It aligns with the following three pillars of the Philippine Development Plan 2023 to 2028. The first pillar aims to develop and protect the capabilities of individuals and families. Nakasentro sa bawat mamamayan at pamilyang Pilipino. Inuuna ang edukasyon, kalusugan at proteksyon ng panlipunan. Human and social development will receive 2.120 trillion pesos or 33.38% of the budget to ensure the Filipinos are empowered and protected. The second pillar seeks to transform production as to generate more quality jobs and competitive products and services. Layon ng 1.852 trillion pesos na nakatalaga dito ang makagawa ng maraming trabaho habang sinusuportahan ang agrikultura at ang industrial na modernisasyon ng Pilipinas. This will ensure our country's sustainable economic growth. The third pillar endeavors to create enabling environment encompassing institutions and physical natural environments. Makakatanggap ng malaking pondo ang mga programa sa infrastruktura at pamamahala. It will modernize public services, boost connectivity, and enhance climate resilience. Nakapailalim at sa tatlong haliging ito ang legacy projects ng Pangulo, ang legacy specialty hospitals, legacy on food security, at legacy housing para sa mahihirap. Nakasentro ang atensyon ng pamahalaan na tiyaking may maayos tayong mga ospital para alagaan ang mga Pilipino. May sapat tayong pagkain.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Rosalina. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Pakikinggan natin itong mga taong ito nagsisinungaling lang. Thank you so much, Ma'am Rosalina.
At may dissenting tirahan. In terms of sectors, the 2025 budget allocates significant resources to, number one, education. It remains the top priority with 977.6 billion pesos dedicated to ensuring accessible and quality education for all. Number two, public works and highways. It will receive 900 billion pesos to address infrastructure gaps, including flood control, roads, and bridges. Number three, health. It gets 297.6 billion pesos to enhance healthcare services and ensure universal health coverage. Number four, defense and social welfare. Respectively, they will receive 256.1 billion pesos and 230.1 billion pesos to maintain peace and order and safeguard the most vulnerable sectors of Philippine society. Looking ahead to 2025, the Philippine economy is projected to grow between 6.5% and 7.5%. This forecast signals not only our economic growth or strength, but also our collective commitment to sustained development. Our country remains on an upward trajectory with consistency and continued determination. We are poised to achieve upper middle income status by 2025, a milestone that will bring about new opportunities and improve living standards for our people. Amidst this expected economic growth and significant budgetary allocations, priority areas, reducing poverty remains a continuing and complex battle. Ganun pa man, tama ang direksyon natin. The 2023 official poverty indicates that our efforts are yielding results. Poverty incidence dropped to 15.5% from 18.1% in 2021. This equivalent to lifting 2.45 million Filipinos out of poverty. Similarly, the number of food-poor individuals fell to 4.484 million pesos from 6.5 million during the same period. While these gains are encouraging, the goal of reducing poverty to a single-digit 9% by 2028 remains a formidable challenge. Achieving this requires sustained investment in education, healthcare, job creation, and social protection. Mahalagang masiguro na ang paglago ng ekonomiya ay magdudulot ng konkreto at positibong transformasyon sa buhay ng bawat o ng lahat ng Pilipino. Ang hamon sa atin ngayon ay patibayin ang mga nakamit na nating pagbabago, patuloy na abutin ang mga mahihirap at bumuo ng isang lipunan na ang lahat sa pag-unlad. As we deliberate on the proposed budget, I appeal to every member of this team body to prioritize the timely approval of the General Appropriations Bill for the fiscal year 2025. The prompt passage of this bill is critical to ensuring that government programs are implemented efficiently, eradicating poverty and benefiting every Filipino, especially those in most need. In the words of Nelson Mandela, overcoming poverty is not a task of charity. It is an act of justice. Like slavery and apartheid, poverty is not natural. It is man-made. It can be overcome and eradicated by the action of human beings. Let us, as one Congress, join hands in ensuring that this budget reflects the aspirations of our people, aligned with our vision for equitable progress and fosters sustainable growth. Let us, in this chamber, dutifully exercise the power to shape the future of our nation toward prosperity for all Filipinos. With this, I humbly seek the approval of this body of the 2025 General Appropriations Bill under House Bill number 10800. Maraming salamat po, and my God bless us our endeavors. Thank you.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to recognize Representative Stella Luz A. Kimbo, Senior Vice Chairperson of the Committee on Appropriations, to deliver her sponsorship speech on House Bill number 10800.
The Honorable Stella Luz A. Kimbo, Senior Vice Chairperson of the Committee on Appropriations, is recognized to begin the sponsorship of House Bill number 10800.
Madam Speaker, colleagues, guests, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. I stand before you today not just as a public servant, but as a fellow Filipino, fully aware of the daily challenges our people face. The high cost of basic needs, especially rice and electricity charges, to unforeseen events such as illness, death, and job loss that can easily push a family to worsening degrees of poverty, or for a family to become poor even when not poor. Sa amin po sa Marikina, ang simpleng ulan ay maaaring magdulot ng matinding baha. Kaya't para sa amin at sa nakararami ang palaisipan, kailan kaya tuluyan nang mawawala ang baha sa buhay namin? When it rains, fear grips us. When will a solution to these recurring challenges finally come? We have concluded the budget hearings for each agency, and what stands clear is the vital role of accountability and transparency. The funds entrusted by Congress are not just figures in a ledger. They are meant to uplift lives and create real, lasting improvements for every Filipino. Kaya't malaga na busisihin ang bawat piso sa budget. Malamang ito ang point of view ng ating mga kababayan habang sinusuri natin ang pambansang budget. This morning, we will discuss and debate the general principles on which the 2025 General Appropriations Bill was crafted, the macroeconomic assumptions, and the targets that we hope to achieve. Adopted by Congress in 2022, our medium-term fiscal framework, which articulates our multi-year economic targets, is built on robust macroeconomic principles, carefully calibrated to address both domestic and global challenges. We are navigating towards sustained and inclusive growth while ensuring fiscal consolidation remains a priority. Yes, our economy is growing today. Our GDP expanded by 6.3% in the first half of the year, putting us on track to meet our growth target of 6%. This reflects sound fiscal management and responsible governance. The numbers show that we are on the right path. Through our collective efforts, we have brought inflation down to 3.3% as of August 2024. However, the work is far from over. Year to date, the inflation rate stands at 3.6%, which is 32% lower than 5.3% year-to-date inflation rate from last year. On employment, the numbers tell a hopeful story. The unemployment rate has dropped to 4.7% in July from 4.9% last year. In 2024, wage and salaried workers increased by 907,000. Just in July, we saw an additional 221,000 compared to the same month last year. This is a clear sign that more Filipinos are finding higher quality jobs and that our efforts to create meaningful employment are making a real difference. This budget that we are proposing is a piece of the roadmap for growth, sustainable and inclusive development. It contains the various programs of government created to address problems that have emerged over time. Kaya madaling salita, ang 2025 General Appropriations Bill ay isang libro ng mga solusyon sa bawat problemang hinaharap ng pamilyang Pilipino. The proposed 6.352 trillion peso budget for fiscal year 2025 is more than just a set of allocations. It reflects our commitment to improving the lives of every Filipino. At the forefront is education, with a proposed allocation of 977.6 billion pesos, recognizing that the future strength of our nation lies in the hands of our youth. Through these investments, we aim to equip them with the skills needed to meet tomorrow's challenges. Healthcare is set to receive 297.6 billion pesos to ensure that every Filipino has access to quality medical services. By proposing to strengthen PhilHealth and upgrade our hospitals, we are laying the groundwork for a healthier, more productive population. Ang 211.3 billion pesos para sa agrikultura ay para matiyak ang seguridad sa pagkain. Sa pamamagitan ng pagbibigay lakas sa ating mga magsasaka, tinitiyak natin na may sapat at abot-kayang pagkain ang bawat Pilipino. Sa taong 2025, nakalaan ang 253.378 billion pesos para sa ayuda na naglalayong magbigay ng suporta sa mga pinakanangangailangan sa ating lipunan. Ang tulong na ito ay mahalaga upang matulungan ang mga pamilya sa pagharap sa mga hamon tulad ng sakit at sakuna na nagdudulot ng matinding hirap na talagang nakakapagpanglumo. Ito ay tulong na magbibigay daan sa kanilang pagbangon at magtitiyak ng tuloy-tuloy na pag-unlad ng pamilyang Pilipino. Narito tayo ngayon hindi para magturuan, kundi para tiyakin na ang budget na ating tatalakayin ay magsisilbing gabay tungo sa mas maliwanag na kinabukasan. Isang budget na magbibigay ng tiwala sa bawat Pilipino na ang pamahalaan ay tapat na naglilingkod para sa kanilang kapakanan. Ang budget na ito ay hindi lamang mga numero. Ito ay plano para matiyak na ang bawat piso ay magagamit ng tama at mararamdaman ng bawat Pilipino, lalo na ng mga pinakanangangailangan. Sama-sama natin isusulong ang budget na magbibigay ng pag-asa at kaunlaran. Tiwala ako na ang ating talakayan ay magiging masinop at malalim batay sa ating tungkulin na tiyakin na ang bawat piso ay tunay na magsisilbi sa kapakanan ng lahat. Maraming salamat at mabuhay ang Pilipinas. Madam Speaker, we may now proceed with the debate on the general principles of 2025 national budget.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to suspend session for a few minutes to allow our technical staff and resource persons of the committee to access the floor.
Session suspended. Session resumed. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we proceed with the interpolations on the proposed budget, more particularly on the general principles and provisions governing the same.
There's a motion. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. Motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I respectfully move that we recognize the Honorable Gabriel H. Bordado Jr. from the 3rd District of Camarines Sur to interpolate the sponsor of the budget.
The Honorable Gabriel Bordado is recognized for his interpellation.
Oh, ayan na. Ayan na siya.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to our Madam Sponsor for clearly outlining the principles and provisions adopted in drafting the 2025 national budget. Sorry. Madam Speaker, the proposed 2025 national budget stands at 6.3 trillion pesos, representing 21% of the country's gross domestic product. This marks a significant 10% increase from the 2024 national budget of 5.768 trillion pesos, reflecting the government's commitment to accelerate economic growth and addressing pressing national priorities. The budget is geared toward supporting the administration's goals of economic and social transformation by prioritizing key sectors such as education, healthcare, social services, public infrastructure, agriculture, and other vital areas. Madam Speaker and Madam Sponsor, while the goals of the 2025 proposed national budget are clear and focused on driving economic and social growth, significant challenges remain in effectively implementing them. As the national budget steadily increases, the country's revenue growth has struggled to keep pace, resulting in a widening fiscal deficit. This growing gap between expenditure and revenue raises concerns about the sustainability of government spending and the ability to fund essential programs without resorting to excessive borrowings. Despite progress, Madam Speaker, as the country slowly inches toward recovery 2 years after the pandemic, the lingering impact on the economy is still evident in the lives of millions of Filipino families. Many continue to struggle with financial insecurity, poverty, and rising costs of living, even as the national budget continues to expand each year. Madam Speaker, Madam Sponsor, this disconnect between the budget growth and improved living conditions underscores the need for more targeted resource allocations and efficient program execution to ensure that economic recovery leads to tangible benefits for all Filipinos. Vigilant and thorough scrutiny of the proposed national budget is essential to promote fiscal responsibility and maximize the impact of public spending. Madam Speaker, Madam Sponsor, it is important that we remain vigilant and thorough in scrutinizing the proposed national budget for 2025. Madam Speaker, Madam Sponsor, For the 2025 fiscal program, we anticipate a total revenue of 4.6 trillion pesos, representing 16.2% of the country's gross domestic product. Is this correct, Madam Sponsor?
That is correct, Madam Speaker, Your Honor.
Thank you, Madam Sponsor. Thank you, Madam Speaker. With a proposed national budget of 6.3 trillion pesos for 2025, how does the government plan to bridge the resulting deficit?
Madam Speaker, para sa taong 2025, ang inaasahang deficit na amounting to 1.537 trillion ay ma-finance through gross borrowings amounting to 2.545 trillion.
Madam Speaker, Madam Sponsor, in other words, dito sa 6.3 trillion pesos budget, magkano ang manggagaling sa pangungutang?
So, Madam Speaker, as I had mentioned, so for a total spending of
Kawawa naman ng Pilipinas, mangungutang na naman. Dahil lang sa pagpondo kay Quimbo, grabe. Kawawang taong bayan.
$6.352 trillion, and with a projected revenues of 4.644 trillion, the deficit amounting to 1.537, ang estimated po natin na gross borrowings would be 2.545 trillion. So kung if we deduct from that amortization and net financing, ang amount niyan is exactly equal to the estimated deficit, Madam Speaker.
So magkano?
Ang gross borrowings, as I had mentioned, is 2.545 trillion.
545 trillion. Ito ang gross borrowings. Nakasama rito sa
Tiba-tiba naman dyan si Kimbo. Kimbo, ilagi ng budget na yan, trillion na yan. Grabe. Kawawang taong bayan.
national budget.
Yes, for 2025.
Madam Speaker, Madam Sponsor, what is the total national debt as of now?
Sa ngayon po, ang total is about 16 trillion.
16 trillion pesos?
15.69 trillion to be exact. Madam
Okay,
Speaker.
so we now have, Madam Speaker, a total debt of 15.6 trillion pesos. Just a year ago, this was, I think, 14 trillion pesos. Correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Sponsor.
That is correct, Madam Speaker, Your Honor.
So, Madam Speaker, Madam Sponsor, what specific measures or strategies will the government implement to address the...
Ay, Paula, matulog. Matulog ka muna, Paula. Thank you so much, Paula. Thank you sa patamsak.
shortfalls.
Madam Speaker, Your Honor, ang pinaka-importante pagdating sa utang ay ang tinatawag na debt to GDP ratio. Ibig sabihin, hindi yung absolute amount ng utang, kung hindi yung relative amount ng utang. Ibig sabihin, kung gaano kalaki ang utang kumpara sa kita ng ekonomiya. So today, our debt to GDP ratio is 60.9%. At sa ngayon, tayo naman po, itong debt to GDP ratio ay manageable po. At as of now, pan po ay on track to our target of 56.3 na
Madam
debt to
Speaker.
GDP ratio by 2028. So ang ibig sabihin, Madam Speaker, ang ating pag-manage ng utang is really sa pagpapalaki ng kita. So in other words, kailangan, pag umuutang tayo, kailangan maging productive ang paggamit ng utang. So kinakailangan, pinapalaki natin ang ating kita para mabayaran natin ang ating utang. So in other words, debt to GDP, yung GDP nasa denominator, hindi po ba? So habang pinapalaki natin ang ating GDP, pinapalaki natin ang denominator, ay napapababa natin ang debt to GDP over time. Madam Speaker, Your Honor.
Madam Speaker, Madam Sponsor, what is the debt to GDP ratio? I wasn't able to...
Madam Speaker, currently it is 60.9.
Not 56.3%?
56.3 is our target for 2028, Madam Speaker. And as we are progressing, we are on track, Madam Speaker, Your Honor.
So the debt to GDP ratio is actually 60%.
As of the moment, Madam Speaker.
60%. And the target, Madam Speaker, is 56.3%, which is still above the pre-pandemic levels. Madam Speaker, Madam Sponsor, is this correct?
Tama po yun. Pero, Madam Speaker, Your Honor, siyempre, sa buong mundo, nagsilakihan, lumobo talaga ang utang ng buong mundo dahil sa pandemya. Kinailangan talaga ng lahat ng bansa sa buong mundo na umutang just to be able to cope with the needs of something that is very extraordinary, ito pong COVID pandemic.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker, Madam Sponsor. The country's target revenue as a percentage of GDP has remained relatively stagnant based on the records, prompting concerns about the efficacy of existing revenue-generating strategies. Madam Speaker, Madam Sponsor, what specific reforms or initiatives does the government plan to implement or improve this revenue collection process?
Sa ngayon po, of course, ang pinaka-importante sa lahat ay ang pag-i-improve ng tax administration. So yan ang pinaka-importante. Meron tayong pinasa na ease of paying taxes noong January 5, 2024. At ito naman po
Hello, honey ko. Mega mega love shout out. Thank you so much. Mr. G. Mega mega love shout out sa iyo. Thank you.
ay nag-modernize ng ating tax administration at nag-improve ng ating collection efficiency. So ang ginawa po nito ay na-simplify po ang ilang mga tax processes at nakapag-provide po ng mga facilities nang sa ganon ay napagpadali ang pagbayad po ng buwis ng ating mga kababayan, particularly through electronic channels. At kasama din dito yung ating digital VAT. Actually, ang digital VAT, Madam Speaker, Your Honor, hindi naman po ito bagong buwis dahil ito ay lumang VAT, kaya lang hindi natin nakolekta. So, nung pinasa natin itong bagong batas, it really was just a way to...
Ay, Paula, matulog ka muna. Tignan mo si Kimbo, nahihirapan. Mr. G. Matulog ka muna, Paula. Thank you so much.
collect itong VAT sa mga digital platforms.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Sponsor. According to the Philippine Statistics Authority, the unemployment rate reached its lowest at 3.1% as of June 2024. Is this correct, Madam Speaker, Madam Sponsor?
That is correct, Madam Speaker, Your Honor.
So, the unemployment rate as of now is 3.1%, a rather low
That is
figure.
correct, Madam Speaker, Your Honor.
And the underemployment also declined to 12.1% from 12.3% in 2023. Is this correct, Madam Speaker, Madam Sponsor?
That is correct, Madam Speaker, Your Honor.
So these are very good indicators. However, Madam Speaker, Madam Sponsor, despite these improvements, 58% of Filipino families, or around 16 million households, still consider themselves poor. Madam Speaker, Madam Sponsor. So what happened?
Madam Speaker, Your Honor, ang maganda sigurong tingnan ay